Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Friday night. I'm James Brown in for Norah. And we begin tonight with a high-stakes showdown over the economy. The nation faces a possible catastrophic default if Democrats and Republicans can't agree on spending limits before the June deadline. And if a deal can't be made, a default would mean the government would run out of money and could pause military salaries, Medicare, and Social Security payments. Republicans walked out of the talks earlier today, blaming the White House for being, quote, unreasonable. The White House said both sides must be willing to compromise. But late today, the news that both sides will return to the table and work late into the night as House Leader Kevin McCarthy expressed his frustration with the White House. The president is set to return to Washington on Sunday, cutting short his overseas trip in hopes of finalizing an agreement before the deadline. CBS's Nancy Cordes will start us off tonight from the White House with the latest details. Good evening, Nancy.
Good evening, JB. I just spoke with a key negotiator who was preparing at this point for the possibility of a long night now that those talks are back on. The question is, can the divide that led to today's dust-up be resolved before a looming and very important deadline? An ominous sign less than 2 weeks before a possible U.S. default.
Just unreasonable.
Republican negotiators walking out on talks with White House officials who then departed too.
Any progress?
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said the two sides are at an impasse.
Yeah, we got a pause.
The sticking point is government spending. In exchange for raising the nation's borrowing limit, House Republicans want to impose caps that amount to an across-the-board 13% cut in government spending.
The White House is just, look, we can't be spending more money next year. We have to spend less than we spent the year before. It's pretty easy.
The White House says it is open to some cuts and that an agreement is still possible if both sides recognize that neither side will get everything it wants.
Then we're not going to sit here and talk to ourselves.
Unless Congress acts, the U.S. will default on its debt as soon as June 1st, an outcome widely viewed as an economic calamity. The talks may be back on, but tonight Speaker McCarthy is still insisting the government can't spend any more money than it did last year. And the White House is unlikely to go for that. And members of both parties are urging their leaders not to give too much. So the situation is still in major flux, JB.
Nancy Cordes at the White House. Thank you.